Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Wisdom Artificial Intelligence. So today is December 17th, and let's go ahead get started for today. The Sadhguru Insight today read, once your life is an expression of your blissfulness, you will not be in conflict with anyone. Living a friction-free life. So this is very interesting. Call it coincidence or call it universal consciousness. Just recently, I started engaging with the Claude through my Perplexity Pro subscription as an alternate brainstorming partner where I share my daily insights. And I have asked it to take on a personality of an objective brainstorming partner where it pressure tests whatever I'm saying and kind of analyzes it from the perspective of objectively anybody in the audience is receiving it. So, if you remember, my newsletter article earlier this week was about the journey from grind to glide and talking about friction free. So, Claude came up with this argument that isn't a grind sometimes necessary in order to unlock the glide? And isn't an athlete who's working through the training, even though it's causing discomfort and pushing himself or herself through the grind? Isn't that an example of generative friction that is necessary in order to really glide through life? And a very fair point. I really enjoyed this brainstorming back and forth, and it is living up to the personality that I have given it. It overall helps unlock something more profound as we engage in this journey. And while Claude is right that there is generative friction in the external world, and at the same time, what Sadhguru is talking about is, as he talks often, it is about the inner engineering. So all of us, as we acquire knowledge, we understand the concepts of friction, and friction is a natural physical phenomena, and absolutely friction is necessary for any movement, and that applies to the external world, and we assume that that is what applies to our internal world also. And so when we feel all these tensions within us, so we just assume that is part of living, and the popular belief and popular self-help mantras are all about pushing through discomfort, and it is okay for you to be feeling the grind inside and feeling the friction inside. And while it is absolutely okay, I'm not disputing that. I have gone through that through my own experience with stroke, losing my mom. One thing that became clear to me through these experiences as is that there's another popular saying that pain is universal, suffering is optional. 95% of our problems are related to suffering, which is made up based on our identification with our thoughts and emotions. The 5% that is real is pain, is the discomfort, is the generative friction that you'll all feel inside. And there is no getting around that. However, the rest of the friction that we create and the suffering that we create for ourselves is self inflicted. It is just because of our identification with thoughts and emotions, and that is what Sadhguru is talking about. And my interaction with Claude and Perplexity through this is an example of when we are led completely by unconscious intelligence, where we haven't tapped into the awareness and presence that we as humans are uniquely capable of. Then, of course, we are going to generate more and more friction, more and more conflicts in every single situation. And that is the manomaya level of consciousness that we operate at, where we have a strong identification with our mental chatter. If the journey from intelligence to consciousness that I am advocating for here is to uplevel our consciousness from the manomaya to what Bhagavad Gita calls Vigyanmaya. And that begins the conscious intellect, where we develop the awareness and presence and a little distance from our mental chatter. That will get rid of the 95% of friction that we create within us. And we can truly live a smooth create a smooth ambience, live a smooth life, and almost a friction-free life, which will get us to Anandmaya, or the consciousness of bliss. So that is this journey from intelligence to consciousness. One other point that, as I was debating with Claude through Perplexity, that it came up with on this concept of, I was prompting it to tell it that I am helping you develop the felt intelligence, even though you are not capable of any feelings. And it uh, responded that yes, it's not capable of any felt intelligence. That is true. It appreciates the provocation. At the same time, it said, so when it is pushing back, it doesn't necessarily feel anything. And that makes a lot of sense. It's just doing pattern recognition, and it is not identified with any of its previous thoughts. And based on that, it is identifying patterns in what I say and patterns in the existing training data, and based on that, forming logical arguments. So if you think about that, there is a thing or two that we can learn about ourselves from the way it is operating. It is not feeling any tension or any friction when it is engaging with me and pressure testing this. There is no conflict there between me and it, even though we are brainstorming from two opposite ends. That is how most of our discussions can evolve. If either of us in a conversation, in an argument, decides to become aware and distances ourselves from our thoughts and emotions, and we are able to truly absorb the points, recognize the patterns in others, as well as within our points, recognize the patterns and don't get attached to our points or somebody else's points. Just try to build our holistic intelligence collectively. That is what the journey from intelligence to consciousness will allow us to do. And it is more important than ever to engage in this journey right now and as I keep saying in this series, there's a thing or two that we can learn from the way we have applied these principles in the development of the generative AI models, starting from attention, self-attention. They are all actually deeply spiritual concepts at the end of the day. So with that, today's dose of Rashmi is: wisdom is guiding your intelligence to understand that the law of friction does not apply to your internal state. You always have the choice to create a friction free ambience within you. Thank you.